Hey everyone, it's Chris. From legendary cats to fish of the sea to birds of the ancient world and more, here are 9 extinct animals that may actually still be alive. Number 9. Coelacanth. It may seem odd to posit that creatures who died potentially thousands or millions of years ago may actually still be alive in the modern day. But there has been proof of this happening in the past, including with creatures that were believed to have been extinct for 65 million years. In this case, the coelacanth. This fish was born during the Cretaceous period, back when dinosaurs ruled the Earth, and by the time the modern age arrived, it was just assumed that the coelacanth was extinct. Fossils of the creature were found, and no other fish in the water that we knew of looked like it, which was more than enough evidence for one to assume that it was truly gone from the world. Yet the opposite was true. In 1938, a marine biologist in Africa found this long-dead fish while looking through a fisherman's haul. Not only was it a coelacanth, it looked exactly like the fossils that were found of its kind. So now you might question how we missed a fish like this being alive all this time. The answer might just be the simplest of all: space. There's a lot of places in the ocean, and the coelacanth is thought to live in somewhat deep waters, which makes it incredible that it was caught at all. Eventually, another species of coelacanth was found in Indonesia, further proving that the species is alive and well. So to answer your question, if a fish from 65 million years ago was found in the oceans of the world alive after all this time, what else could be out there that was believed extinct? Number 8. Saber-Toothed Tiger. There are many legendary cats who exist in this modern age, but none of them compare to the power and the ability that the saber-toothed tiger once had. These massive cats were the ancestors to what exists today in many ways, and yet they were more aggressive, more powerful, and able to do things even lions and tigers can't dream of. The saber-toothed tiger was fierce, mighty, fast, and had a killer instinct that everyone feared. Its iconic fangs were nearly a foot long, almost guaranteeing death to any bit by them. But their fangs weren't the only thing lethal about them. Their speed made prey seem slow compared to them, and they would use their strong hind legs to pounce on their opponents, then use their muscles to pin them to the ground to ensure that the final strike was done unopposed. Officially, saber-toothed tigers died out during the Ice Age. However, there may have been claims and sightings of them in the modern day. While no definitive proof has been found, that does not mean that one might not be out there waiting for its next meal. Number 7. THYLACINE. The thylacine, or the Tasmanian tiger or wolf, was one of the most feared animals in all of Australia and New Zealand at one point in time, which brings us to the sad fact that they were a more recent extinction, as they were wiped out within the last century. Despite being part of the marsupial family, these creatures were apex predators, able to roam the land and get food without much pushback, which turned out to be their undoing. They were a thorn in the side of the people living there, mainly because the thylacine would target their livestock. Thus, the people of the nations came together and straight up wiped out the population in full, or at least that's the claim. Reports of thylacine have been brought up over the years, including some getting video footage of them still being alive. Other pieces of proof have been offered as well. If you're thinking, wait a minute, how could they still be alive if they were declared extinct in 1936? And the answer is that people can't look everywhere for all the animals all at once. Plus, Australia has a massive region known as the Outback that isn't openly colonized by people, so thus they could be slowly repopulating there in theory. Number 6. Short-faced bear. The Ice Age was once home to a bear that was much bigger, much heavier, and much more aggressive than the ones today. It was known as the short-faced bear, and though it's been extinct for 10,000 years, there are those who swear it's still alive today. In terms of scale, it was over 13 feet tall when it was standing on its back legs, which is 3 feet taller than the biggest bears today. Their weight also had a huge difference, as bears can weigh at almost 800 pounds, yet in the case of the short-faced bear, it weighed around 2,000. It used that size and weight to be a dominant predator during its time. It would go and find bison and horses to hunt down and eat, which it could catch up to just by running thanks to the long legs the bear had, thus not needing to rely on sneak attacks. There have been reports in modern times of a giant bear that was unlike anything others had seen before. The Inuit people, for example, took down a bear that was unlike anything around. and they even called naturalist Robert McFarland to examine it, and his examination proved it wasn't a regular bear. The native people are one of the loudest in their beliefs that the short-faced bear could still be alive, though it's hard to say for sure if that's true. Number 5. Megalania. In Australia during the Ice Age, there was a creature that roamed the outback as the apex predator of the land. It was a massive lizard known as the Megalania. This mother lizard was 23 feet long and was said to have a mouth full of teeth that were not only sharp, but they were also extremely venomous, thus ensuring it was an even deadlier apex predator. What really made the Megalania so dangerous was that it didn't care what it ate. Instead, it would just go for anything in range and devour it, and this included the earliest settlers of the land. So much so that Aboriginal folklore still talks about the Megalania as something to be feared. There are many reports that say that there are still some Megalania in the Australian outback today, with many reports citing lizard tracks near spots where cattle were attacked. Since they originally lived in the outback, it's not impossible that they could still reside somewhere within it. Number 4. The moa. The moa was a flightless bird said to have grown over 12 feet tall at its peak thanks to its long neck, and could weigh over a ton at times. Interestingly enough, the moa was a very isolated bird. It lived on an island off the coast of New Zealand and would eat plants for sustenance. The moa soon met their doom though, as Polynesian settlers came to the New Zealand islands and wiped out the moa for various reasons. But whether that was actually true is still somewhat up for debate, as many who go to the island the moa lived on swear they sometimes hear bird calls that are unlike anything they've ever heard before, or see tracks that are moa-shaped. These pieces of evidence seem to indicate that the moa isn't quite as gone as people think. There have been sightings of the bird for at least the last 100+ years, including ones as recent as 2008. Though the evidence provided was debunked, it's still something that many people are curious about and are looking into in order to see if the moa still really is alive. Number 3. Woolly mammoth. The woolly mammoth stands as the most recognizable animal of the Ice Age, and though they have been extinct for more than 8,000 years, there are still some who think they might still be alive. This is not just random speculation too. In the 1920s, a Frenchman heard tale of a sighting of a woolly mammoth, noting the following. It was a huge elephant with big white tusks that were very curved. Its hair was a dark chestnut color as far as I could see. It had fairly long hair on the hindquarters, but it seemed shorter on the front. I must say I had no idea there were such big elephants. A second beast was around. It seemed to be at least as big as the first. The reason this caught many people's attention is that it does seem to describe the woolly mammoth, as elephants do have hair in the modern age, but not to that thickness. The hair on their bodies actually made it so they could survive the frigid cold of the world wherever they roamed. Another interesting piece of information you should know is that 2 decades later, a woolly mammoth was found in a block of ice completely intact. So if they are still out there, why haven't we spotted them? The answer is their body structure and intent. They thrived during the Ice Age because they could survive the cold, and right now on Earth the coldest places are in Russia, Siberia, and the Arctic and Antarctic. While Russia is populated, the others aren't, and not many people travel there. Plus, the mammoths were nomadic, and given the massive area these places cover, it's not too far of a stretch to say that they could be roaming around in places that no one really goes. And obviously, because the areas are snow-ridden, the tracks they would leave behind would be covered up. Number 2. JAVAN tiger. You might not think that big cats die out too often in modern times, but you'd be wrong. And the JAVAN tiger is a great example of this. This tiger was found in Indonesia on the island of Java, where it got its name. But this island was also its downfall. You see, the island ensured that hunters could go there and kill the tigers with little issue, and thus they were soon wiped out. Officially, they went unseen in 1976, and by 1994 they were declared extinct. But that was hardly the last time they were spotted. In fact, groups of them were said to still exist. A local environmentalist has cautiously said that he's found a lot of proof that this tiger is not gone from the world just yet, and seeks to find them no matter what. Number 1. Megalodon. Sharks have been a large part of the oceans dating all the way back to the dinosaurs. However, the biggest of them all was the Megalodon, which was not only the largest shark ever, even compared to modern sharks like the whale shark, but it was the most aggressive and the most dangerous. When they were definitively alive, they were the apex predator of the ancient waters. and were said to have no true predators given their size and power, and for good reason too. Their teeth were double the length of great white sharks, coming in at around 7 inches per tooth, which they allegedly used to eat about 2 tons of food a day. Eventually, between the loss of life in the oceans and certain extinction-level events, the Megalodon was said to be wiped out. Yet people think it might still be alive for the same reason that other long-lost creatures have been found in the waters of the world. Mainly that the ocean is a big place and there are areas we haven't mapped out yet. So in theory, it could be possible for the world's largest shark to still be out there somewhere. Thanks for watching. What did you think of this look at the extinct creatures of the past that might just be making a comeback? Do you think that some of them are indeed still alive today? Which ones would you like to see in our world? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to World List, and I'll see you next time on the channel.